Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad that you could join us for tonight's Celebrations Around the World. We're going to be covering a very special and timely topic. We're going to be covering New Year's Day food traditions from around the world. Perfect time of year. This is our last virtual program of the year and our last celebrations around the world. So a festive and tasty note for us to end on. We're going to jump right in. My name is Lisa. I'm with the Tampa-Hillsborough County Public Library, and we're going to start right off. Before we go into our first recommendation, our first stop of the evening, just want to remind everyone that all of these food traditions come from around the world, and foods that you might find tasty might seem strange to someone else, and someone else's food traditions might seem strange to you. And that's one of the fun things about exploring all of these different places and celebrations, is that we have exciting new things to discover. So I hope you keep an open mind and share some of your food traditions and experiences with us as we go along. Keep in mind that if you have any questions that come up, you can type those into the questions box in the GoToWebinar control panel. So type those questions in as we go along. We will have some question and answer time after we get through our tour of countries and traditions. So definitely get those questions coming in as you think of them. Chime in if something looks familiar, maybe something you do something similar at home. Let us know, and we'll talk about that after we're done with our overview, our tour. And if you want to maybe do a little bit more digging, do some research on your own on food and food traditions around the world, one of the great ways that you can do that is with Gale Culinary. You might be familiar with some of our other Gale reference products that we have in our digital resources. Gale Culinary is one of the newer to me ones, and it collects all sorts of the academic journals, the magazines, anything that you can think of, like a lot of the other Gale resources, but these are all going to be focused around food and food safety and food culture. So I got a lot of the ideas and facts for this program through that. So if we have time, I'll do a quick stop off and show you how to navigate to that on our homepage. But just keep in mind, go to hcplc.org/DIY, and it'll be right there on that page. There's a shortcut there. So check that out after the program if you want to do some sleuthing of these food topics on your own. All right, so real quick overview here. Well, these are the stops that we'll be making today. If we run out of time, we'll do the express version of it. We don't have a Concorde jet anymore, but maybe some Concorde grapes will pop up at some point in the program. Our first stop of the evening, we're going to start in Asia, and we're going to start in Japan. You might notice that as we start off here and go through some of our countries, there's going to be very similar themes to a lot of these traditions throughout the new year, and we'll see it at the end of the program. Maybe we can tie that together and figure out what all of these foods and traditions have in common. So in Japan, I learned that the buckwheat soba noodles are a very traditional New Year's dish there. A lot of these dishes that we're going to see have they represent what we hope for the new year or what we want to happen. So with the soba noodles, there are two parts of that are involved in this tradition, and see if I can pop that up here for you. All right. So the soba tradition goes back to about the 17th century, so quite a while. One of the older traditions that I found here. But the noodles are very, very long. These are definitely the slurping noodles. They go on for a very long time, and normal soba noodles are pretty long. But the ones that are traditionally eaten for New Year's are even longer than usual. They are the toshikoshi soba, the buckwheat soba noodles. And they're eaten at midnight on New Year's, and the long noodles, the length of the noodles, symbolize longevity, the nice long life. So longevity, and another thing that they represent is letting go of the hardships from the previous year, the year that's ending. So letting go of the things that are hard, because soba noodles are soft and easy to cut while eating. So you can make that break with things that were hard or difficult, and you represent that with your soba noodles for the evening. This looks like a very tasty tradition, and one that I might add to some of our family's New Year's Eve traditions. I like that idea. Our next stop of the evening is in the Philippines. So we went from long noodles, representing longevity, and in the Philippines, there's a tradition of having 12 round fruits. So 12 fruits, one for each month of the upcoming year. And the roundness, these fruits are round, and the roundness symbolizes a coin. So a coin, wealth, prosperity. So we have these 12 different round fruits representing the 12 months of the year, and the roundness for those 12 months being prosperous. So we've got our long foods and we've got our round foods so far. This is a very colorful one, and I don't know that I would be able to get through those all in a single night, but I bet if the whole family got together, they could get through a bowl of 12 different fruits. So while we're talking about fruits and roundness, in Turkey and in a lot of neighboring parts near Turkey, pomegranates are often used in New Year's celebrations, but not necessarily just for eating. So the pomegranate, if you've ever had it, has a tough shell, and you crack it open and you eat the seeds that are kind of loose inside. Well, if you've ever maybe accidentally dropped one, you know, it's not just going to pop open, but if you take it and you throw it down with force, it might pop open. So in Turkey, one of the ways that they celebrate is they take the pomegranate and they throw it on the ground, and they smash it down, and as it breaks open, the seeds scatter out. And in some areas, they will take the number of seeds that pop out is a sign of how much good fortune you will have. So the more seeds that scatter out, the more fortune you'll have in the coming year. In a lot of cultures, pomegranates might represent their signs of fertility and prosperity. So if they want that for the new year, if you want that for the new year, maybe a pomegranate, a grenade of the pomegranate. Throw that down and see what pops out. We are stopping off in Nigeria next. So in Nigeria, we have lentils and fish stew as the two main meals that are eaten around New Year's. Not necessarily together, it might be in separate dishes, or they might be combined in a stew like you see here. So lentils, we have another thing that's very round. So this is another round food, and as you might have guessed, that round food in this case is a sign of coins. It symbolizes coins or prosperity or money. So we're bringing that through again. So we've seen that before, we are seeing it now, and we will see it again. So lentils and seafood, especially seafood in a stew. So seafood is an abundant resource. There's a lot of it. And this is one of the things that we will show to say we have plenty of food. We want to have plenty of food in the new year. We have these lentils for coins. We want to be prosperous in the new year. We want to have money in the new year. So lentils and seafood stew, very common in Nigeria and other places as we've seen. But the one thing that I learned that we don't want to have on New Year's in Nigeria is we don't want to have chicken. Apparently chicken means that you might have a not so great money year because chicken's inexpensive to get. So it's a sign that you maybe didn't have enough money to have a feast. So no chicken in Nigeria for New Year's. Something fishy again. Our next stop is in Scandinavia. And in Scandinavia, and a lot of other places in the northern part of Europe, even getting into Russia, you see traditions of pickled herring. or pickled, whatever the local fish is that is very abundant and easy to come by. So pickled herring is a very traditional one in especially northern areas. Northern Europe is very cold, so in the winter there might be not a lot of other food around. And if you have pickled or preserved fish, that might be a great way to keep your family fed through the winter. So I'm sure that's part of where that tradition came from. And another part of that tradition is the idea that fish only swim forwards. They never swim backwards. Well, at least according to the tradition. So always keep moving forward, have plenty of food. All right, we are making our next stop in Germany. Some of you might know that's where I am from. That's where some of my New Year's traditions come from. And in Germany, we have sauerkraut as part of the tradition. So sauerkraut, you might be wondering, where did that come from? Well, like the soba noodles, the strands of sauerkraut are very long. So we have another thing that symbolizes that longevity. But another interesting thing about sauerkraut's been around for a long time. It's a way that people have used to preserve foods in Europe and Asia, all over the world for a very long time. And something that's interesting about sauerkraut specifically is that it preserves a lot of vitamin C. So even before people knew what vitamin C was, they were preserving this mineral for their bodies that keep them through the winter. So you might have heard of scurvy, pirates having their orange juice in the morning to avoid getting scurvy. Well, vitamin C is very important for that. And in northern parts of the world over the winter, there's not a lot of ways to get that otherwise. So sauerkraut helped people make it through the winter, and it's something that you could preserve without a refrigerator. Another thing that pops up again and again is pigs or pork. Pigs are often a sign of good luck, and in Germany we definitely have the Glücksschwein, the luck pig. So you can have that in the form of, having pork with your meal, having a pork sausage, having a pork roast with your meal, or maybe something a little bit sweeter, maybe a little piggy-shaped pastry or a pea-shaped marzipan treat. So it could be a sweet, it could be a meat, could go either way, but it is still a tasty New Year's treat. While we're in Germany, while we're talking about lentils and pork, we have in Italy, we are going to be seeing another lentil and pork dish. So this is cotticino con lenticchie, pigs and lentils, if I'm reading that right, I don't know. But it looks very tasty. It looks very similar to a German dish that I grew up with, but yes, lentils and pork. So we're seeing lentils again, if you remember what we were symbolizing there. Lentils, round for that good luck, and pork, lucky, lucky piggies. If you're wondering maybe where that idea of pork or pigs being lucky came from, the time of year that you would harvest your pigs for food was often in the winter, so that would then, at the New Year's time, when you're harvesting your pigs and getting them processed for eating, you would suddenly have this abundant source of food and meat after the cold time of year had already started. So very common to have that in the midwinter, early winter time. Our next stop, we are stopping in Spain. So what are these things we see here? We've got grapes and wine glasses, grapes and champagne glasses. Well, it can be in any kind of dish that you like, but in Spain and other places that were colonized by Spain or that have a Spanish-speaking tradition, we see 12 grapes being eaten. So as the clock strikes midnight, the clock chimes 12 times. And for each time that the clock chimes, we would have one grape. So you're very quickly eating your 12 grapes at midnight with the clock chiming. But you notice we've got another round fruit. Another round fruit symbolizing that coin, that prosperity. I believe it also, there was I don't quite remember which specific region it originated from, but I believe when it first started off, there was a particularly abundant grape harvest that year for making wine and for eating. So yeah, 12 grapes at the stroke of midnight. I don't know if I could do that in 1 minute. It seems like a lot. So maybe you can. Maybe you have that tradition in your home too. Our next stop, Colombia. So Colombia has a lot of New Year's traditions. It is one of the countries that I was looking at that had so many to choose from, but not necessarily a lot that were food related, interestingly enough. But what I found interesting of a food related thing is that there's a tradition of having 3 potatoes. And you peel one all the way, so it's completely peeled. You peel the second one halfway, and the third one is unpeeled. And you put them under your bed on New Year's Eve. And when you wake up, without looking, you reach under your bed, and whichever one of the potatoes your hand lands on, it represents a different thing. So if the potato is completely unpeeled, it represents a good, a fortunate, you will have a good money year. If it's only half peeled, it's going to be about the same as what's normal for you. And if it's all the way peeled, it's not going to be a good money year. I thought that was a very fun or funny New Year's tradition that involved food, but not necessarily eating it. There's also a tradition of carrying lentils in your pocket the first of the year. Lentils, round money, and decorating your table with wheat stalks. So those are 3 ways that food is used in the New Year's celebration, but not necessarily for eating. We are coming to the Americas now. Our next stop is in Mexico, and in Mexico, we see around Christmas and New Year's a lot of tamales being made. And you might be wondering, well, this doesn't seem quite like some of the other food traditions. I don't see how it would represent money or fortune like that. Well, this tends to be a very traditional food around this time of year because it is made in a big family setting. So the whole family gets together to make them. Many hands are needed to make it and to wrap it and to have it all ready to go. So it symbolizes a strong family coming together and preparing food together. So I think that's one of my favorites. I love this one. It's also delicious. All right, our next stop, I could not pick one country for this one. There are a lot of traditions for around the new year for king cakes. So king cakes, you might be thinking Mardi Gras, Epiphany. So it's a New Year's tradition in the sense that it is a religious tradition or ties to a religious tradition, with Epiphany being the 12th night of Christmas or the last night of Christmas. And the king cake is a cake that usually has something baked inside of it, a token or a figure. And it's said that the person who gets that figure or gets that token will have a fortunate rest of the year or beginning of the new year. So I thought I would include this one, even though it's not specifically tied to New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, it's still part of the New Year traditions. So you see this around the world. You have it in New Orleans, of course. You have it in France with the galette de roi. You have it in Mexico with the rosca de reyes, in Portugal with the bolo rei, in Greece with the vasilopita, and in Spain with the tortel de raíz. So we've got all these cakes with all different shapes, but all the same thing. They're all different versions of the king cake. How are you celebrating the new year? Does your family have New Year's traditions? Let's peek into our poll here. See if we can get that started. We'll go ahead and let you vote there. Does your family have a special food tradition to celebrate the new year? Oh, everyone has voted already. Y'all are quick today. We will go ahead and close that and show the results here. So it looks like we've got 25% of you celebrate one of the traditions we learned about today, and 25% celebrate with something else, and half of you celebrate with nothing specific but are having fun learning about it. So that is awesome. So with our local celebrations, we have a strong tradition in the US South for celebrating with a lot of the things that we've seen already. So you might be familiar with black-eyed peas being used to celebrate in the American South, or cornbread. So the black-eyed peas often symbolize coins or money. The cornbread symbolizes gold or wealth, and maybe some collard greens. So collard greens, green for money. So again, we wanna encourage that wealth. So I'll share with you a picture of my last year's New Year's that I made for our family. I have a big pot of, it's not a hop and john, it might be closer to a hop and one. It has the black-eyed peas and 2 other kinds of beans in there. It has 3 different kinds of pork, because where I'm from in Germany, pork and piggies are lucky. And it has 3 different hot peppers to make sure we have an exciting, spicy new year. It's got that cornbread, and I've got my collard greens with bacon in there. So yep, that's what my New Year's looks like. So let us know if you want to share with us what yours looks like. And there we are. So we've got the contact screen up. I'll leave that up in the background, and we are ready to start our Q&A. So let us know if you have questions about any of the things that we looked at. Let me pull up my questions panel here so I can see as you type those in. I see one of our folks here. You celebrate, as they do in Japan, the soba at midnight. That's awesome. Is this something that you always celebrated with your family, or is it a newer tradition for you? And yes, somebody is saying that they can barely stay up past 10 p.m., much less midnight. I completely agree. And here's what I do. So Germany, where I'm from, is 6 hours ahead of the US. So we do our big celebrating New Year's Eve around 6 p.m. That's midnight in Germany. I can call my family and wish them a happy new year when it's midnight for them. Have a nice casual evening, and then I can go to bed before all the fireworks start. So yes, I completely agree with you. Staying up past 10 p.m. is not going to happen most days. All right. And someone asked if we could post the search link. Which search link are you looking for? Were you looking for the Gale resource? Is that what you're hoping to find? So yes, for the person who is looking for the search link, I hope this is what you're looking for. If it's not, go ahead and type that into the box and let me know if it's something different that you were hoping for. Oh. Haven't heard back on that, so we will go back to our contact slide and wish everyone at home a very, very happy start of the new year, end of the old year. If you end up finding a new tradition in this program that you're going to adopt for your family, let us know. Always fun to hear how you implement these things, if you have any luck finding new ideas from them. So yeah, we would love to hear from you, and hope to see you again with our upcoming programs in the new year. hcplc.org/events has our calendar, has all of our upcoming programs on there. You'll see them start to pop up more and more as we go along. Our January programs are in there for sure. hcplc.org/contact if you need to reach us, has all of our contact information. And of course, hcplc.org for sharing your stories if you have pictures or anything you would like to see. So happy New Year to all of you at home, and can't wait to see you in the new year. Good night, friends.